To start off, we're doing the IBIS, which gives my edits like a really cute look with the egg cell, and we're just shading it with orange reddish tones using my brush modified pen fade because it gives off like a really nice smudge look because it has color mix effects. Like it drags the base color and mixes it with the color that we're applying. So I believe that this brush is very good for shading, contouring, and other necessary parts that needs shading. So yeah. Also, please remember to use this brush on a very low opacity, but you can always play with its size, its opacity, depending on your needs. The more that you're on the folds, please keep in mind to raise the opacity so that it would give a much fuller color. And when you don't need that much color, you can just use it at 12 to 20 opacity so that it gives a more airbrushed look. Moving on, let's work on the inner corners of the eyes using my teardrop brush. Just set your force fade to both 100 and then draw like an acute angle that's kind of slightly bended. You can fix this with a liquify pen if you're not satisfied. I use my coarse highlight brush for the lids, wherein I think that needs glitters, chunky glitters, which gives the edit such a fuller, more glittery look and appeal. This comes off as my style, so it's very optional and not a lot of people like it, but I do. And you just have to layer it on the center so that it won't look as messy. The good thing about this brush is it does not just stick to what is customized. You can always go to the shape of the brush and adjust the scale so that your glitters would become finer. Moving on to the eyeliner, I used my eyeliner pen, which is basically just a pen soft, and I lowered the force fade in so that it gives like a chunky cat eye look. Just keep on swiping from the outer corner towards the inner corner to create a winged eyeliner. Once we're done with the eyeliner, we can create a new layer and set the force fade in to 0 and force fade out to 100 to create lashes from the water, what do you call that? The thing from your eye outwards, you know. While doing the eyelashes, I always like to keep in mind to create like a V, curved V, so that it would look like the eyelashes are a bit clumped, and I also like to insert small eyelashes in between so that it would not look like spider eyelashes with like expired mascara. It really takes me a long time to get settled with the eyelashes because I just don't feel satisfied most of the time. And another tip, you can lower the opacity of your brush and it would not look as messy if you use 100% brush for the eyeliner and the eyelashes. A friendly reminder to just play with the size and opacity until you're satisfied. Right now I'm using a blur pen to blur the edges of the eyelashes so that it will look as if it was moving and not just stationary. Since I'm a lazy potato, I just duplicated the layer and then I adjusted it to fit the other eye. And then I just use a liquify pen to make sure that it sits right and it's like shaped right to the other eye. In a new layer, I created the bottom lashes using the same procedure that I used on the top eye. So I just create a V shape, a curved V or a G or C, whatever you call it. I just intersect two strokes together in the middle and inserted like small details between and make it longer if I feel like it's not enough. And just like that, you can duplicate the layer, invert it, and then place it using the transform tool underneath. and start building it up gradually. Overdoing it is just not a good idea. As you can see here, I kept undoing and undoing because I set my opacity too high. It would really save you time if you learn how to control your brush and treat it like an airbrush if you're shading, and treat it like a pen fade if you're outlining. That's the beauty of this brush. It's like a secret for me, you know. I also contoured her face with this brush in the same color palette, like yellow, orange, and red. And I just built up the sides, contoured the sides, made her look a little, contoured. Especially the jawline. It just makes it sharper and a lot more detailed. You somewhat lose some details when you use Lightroom's noise reduction, so this is a good way to bring back in those details that you've lost. As you can see here, our face is a little and a lot more refined rather. And I use white to blend some colors in. Once I was satisfied with how the contours turned out, I'd like to sketch out the hair, because I personally believe that the hair or the crowning glory just carries the whole edit. If your face looks good but your hair doesn't, it just doesn't make sense. So once I'm done with the basics and I haven't executed a lot of efforts yet, I'd really like to go back in and just focus on the hair first and then go back. Yeah, as you can see here, I'm using basic pen fade. Actually, no, I'm just really using a force fade in, the thin, modified. But I haven't really saved this brush. I deleted it accidentally. But you can really use some pen fade to create your base. I'm just creating my base here. As you can see, it's really opaque and it's wavy. Also remember that when you have a reference, just follow your color scheme there. You can always color pick so that your colors would be recognizable and not random. Just like that, you will have an organized base. I don't mind filling in those areas wherein I would just have to erase it again. As you can see here, I kept on overlapping the areas because you can always lower the opacity like I did here and just clean up your mess. At least you have successfully filled up those spaces that you might have missed if you kept avoiding these obstacles. Just clean it up nicely. Do not go over the line. It's clear where you can find the border between the skin and the hair. Just always follow your instincts and clean it up, and just focus on the good things like how to maintain the hair and not damage it. You can always build up some of the details when you're done, and voila, as you can see, I've successfully made my hair base. If your reference have some messy hair, you can just color pick the forehead and just fill in those areas, and just like that, you have a really clean slate to work on. It will not look as messy. As you can see here that some of the areas are covered with hair, and I just cleaned it up, and I think that's it. Oh yes, I used also some liquify pen if I'm not satisfied where the hairline is. It sits on the other side, or side part, which I preferred it to be centered, so I just kept on working my hair and just building in some details like flyaways and strands. After that, I selected a darker color from my base and just shaded it with a modified pen fade with a really high opacity of 100 and just started layering it on top to create like a shading wherein it would look more realistic and less flat if your base is already shaded, just like so. Since I don't have a specific light source for this one, I just shaded it from top down and just winged it, you know. See here, as you can see here, I used the liquify pen to just create more volume for the hair since it just looks a lot flatter than. After that, I created a new layer and picked a lighter color from my reference and just used my signature brush, which is my hair brush from 2021, and just started stroking it, undoing, redoing. It just really needs a lot of patience to create some good hair, you know. And just, you know, I started off with a small brush and stroked it again and again. We all know that drawing hair is a long, tedious process, but it's a good exercise for us to learn how to be patient and how to trust the process, especially that we are all artists and we all really want to explore new things. Really have to become patient with our works. As you can see here, I don't really mind those fingers that are blocking my way. I just kept on doing what I'm supposed to do. Create long S or C strokes, curved strokes, and just connect it all in the center. As you can see here, I created a thick stroke and then I detailed it with smaller strokes. Oh yes, I also do lives on Facebook, so that's where I got this footage from before editing it. So as you can see here, compared to what it was before, it's already a lot more detailed, but it's just one layer of details. You can see a lot of improvements just by using this one brush and this opacity and this size. You can also play with its opacity and brush size. As you can see here, I always like to experiment what would be the good way to draw hair. I like to draw S, as you can see here, because it creates a good wave track for my other strands to follow. I create one big stroke and then I follow it with smaller strokes. As you can see here, always remember to always connect your strokes. Start where the last one ended and then always blend it out. As you can see here, I have not used any blending mode. I have not used any tricks, smudge or anything, just pure drawing, as you can see here. Just always remember to fill those areas where you think it's blank and just draw some strands, connect it with the other strands, and that would create such a seamless, you know, like effect. There's a bit of a commercial there, someone called me, and just stroke it like you should, connect it. And also another tip is to do not intersect your strokes. You always have to remember to make sure that your strokes are separated and not clumped together. Intersecting strokes may cause your edits to look like it is cross-hatching, which means that it's tangled, it's messy, and it's hard to look at. That is like the first step of creating any good hair. Just always remember to always connect your strokes. If it doesn't work, just move on, just leave the spaces. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for part 2.